Welcome everyone to a very special live stream on NoDQ.com. I will be discussing the 2025 NoDQ.com year-end awards. The first poll is up on NoDQ.com, and new polls will be posted throughout the month of December. It's the end of the year. Get your votes in. For this stream, I will be discussing the 20 categories and giving my thoughts on each category and my own personal picks. Now, I have the nominations. I will be going over each category, so let's get to it. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. Much appreciated. All right, we're going to work our way backwards. We are going to start with the weekly show of the year. The nominees: WWE Raw, NXT, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, and Impact. TNA Impact Wrestling making the cut this year. I would have to say, based off of what I have watched, and granted, I haven't seen much NXT or Impact for that matter, I would have to say Monday Night Raw has been the best show. Dave Scheffler in the chat room agrees with me. Chat room, let me know your thoughts, what you liked this year in these categories. I would say Raw has been the best show. Dynamite, SmackDown, kind of neck and neck for me. Collision, I haven't really been watching. So of the three that I have been following every week, I think I would have to go with Raw. Title change of the year. We have John Cena becoming the 17-time champion at WrestleMania. Seth Rollins cashing in at SummerSlam, Heist of the Century Part 2. Hangman Adam Page beating Jon Moxley at All In. Maxine Dupree beating Becky Lynch, and that was just a couple of weeks ago. I should note the voting period is December 2024 to November 2025, so keep that in mind. Cody Rhodes beating John Cena, regaining his title at SummerSlam, and then Mark Briscoe winning the TNT Championship from Kyle Fletcher at Full Gear. This is a tough one. I like the cash-in from Rollins, although he ended up getting injured. Hangman Adam Page was a huge moment, finally beating Moxley, but then Page lost it to Samoa Joe. It wasn't the most memorable title run. Even though it wasn't a match that people really liked, I think the significance of John Cena winning the 17th championship, becoming the never seen 17, I think you have to go with that, just the magnitude of it, even though the match itself was a bit of a letdown and you had that whole debacle with everybody's favorite Travis Scott. I agree with Redemption 1, 1, 2, 3. Cena is the choice here. Talker of the year, no surprise here, CM Punk, Becky Lynch, John Cena, Dominic Mysterio, LA Knight, and MJF. Unfortunately, MJF hasn't really done a whole lot this year. When he does cut a promo, it's really good. CM Punk is always great, but CM Punk is a little bit watered down from his peak. I'm surprised Cody didn't make the list, but Cody is nominated in other categories. Cody cut a great promo before Survivor Series. Dominic's definitely been getting better. LA Knight, of course, is always a strong talker, but I think I have to go with John Cena again. John Cena, whether he was a heel or a face, few people can out-talk John Cena. And when he goes head-to-head with a CM Punk or anybody, John Cena is at the top of his game. So I think I go with John Cena for Talker of the Year, but I think it's another close one. Anthony in the chat room goes with Dominic Mysterio, and City by the Bay thinks Logan Paul should have made the list. Logan's a pretty good talker. I will say that. He's definitely a strong heel, and we'll get to that category in just a few moments. Most Underrated of the year, underutilized of the year. We got Chad Gable, Bailey, Julia, Karrion Kross, Joe Hendry, and The Miz, which is interesting. The Miz, he's like Rodney Dangerfield, doesn't get the respect. Karrion Kross is gone now. You could have argued 6 months ago he would have been a great choice, but I mean, he's been gone and there hasn't been this huge uproar to bring him back. Joe Hendry, I mean, it's just a matter of time before they pull the trigger on Joe Hendry. So stay tuned on that. Bailey, you could argue. I mean, she has been a focal point on TV, but maybe she should be used even more. Chad Gable's a great choice, although he finally got into his stride with the El Grande Americano, and then he got injured. And Julia is a fantastic choice. I agree with City by the Bay that Powerhouse Hobbs is a great choice, and he should have been on this list, in my opinion. I would say Julia, of the people on this list. Like, what is going on with her? They brought her up to the main roster, and they put the women's U.S. title on her, but never really followed up on it. All right, feud of the year. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Keep in mind it's December, starting in December of 2024, and that feud went on into February before Mariah May left and became Blake Monroe. Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors, and then Roman Reigns versus Big Bronson Reed. Tribal Chief versus Tribal Thief. I think I have to go with CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And unfortunately, the Rollins injury kind of cut that feud short. But I think Punk and Rollins had a hell of a feud. And I think that has to be the pick for me. Heel of the year. And we mentioned Logan Paul earlier. Logan is on this list. Dominic Mysterio, of course. Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and everybody's favorite turncoat, Paul Heyman. This is a tough one. Dominic's been getting cheered a lot, so I don't know if I can go with Dominic this year. I might have to go with Logan Paul. It's a close one. Seth Rollins, the people were singing his song, so it's hard to really boo the guy. Becky tries too hard at times. Paul Heyman is great, but also they say, my name is Paul Heyman. Logan Paul just gets heat. You could say Jon Moxley does too, but I don't know. I wasn't really feeling the Death Riders all that much this year. So I'm going with Logan Paul for heel of the year. How about that? City by the Bay says Mercedes Moné should be on the list. Well, definitely getting heat online. Maybe not the best kind of heat. On the flip side, we have Babyface of the year, Cody Rhodes, naturally, CM Punk, Jey Uso, Hangman Adam Page, overcoming Jon Moxley, Rhea Ripley, who's always getting huge reactions, and Io Sky, also getting great reactions. I think I got to go with the star quarterback, even though CM Punk has been a top-level babyface. I think you got to go with Cody Rhodes. Being the WWE champion for a good portion of the year and just being the company man. CM Punk too, it's a close one, but I think I'll go with Cody on this one. Theme song of the year. Cult of Personality, John Cena's song, My Time Is Now. Penta, which is one of the better theme songs that were introduced this year, I think. Aleister Black, classic song. Joe Hendry, everybody's favorite viral singing wrestler. I Believe in Joe Hendry. And Jey Uso. I might get some hate for this one, but I think it's got to be Jey Uso. When I was at the Royal Rumble, the music hitting, everybody yeeting, it's an experience. Now, maybe Jey Uso doesn't deserve credit once the bell rings. I mean, people will definitely argue that. But as far as an entrance goes and the music, Jey Uso is just an experience. And you could argue some of the others, but 2025, I think of Jey Uso and the yeeting and the whole presentation of it. So I'm going with Jey Uso's music. It's just me, Us. Headline of the year, the biggest wrestling news story of 2025. John Cena turning heel, which was massive, but unfortunately the follow-up was a bit of a letdown. The untimely death of Hulk Hogan, Brock Lesnar returning to WWE, AJ Lee returning, definitely a huge story. Seth Rollins cashing in at SummerSlam, and WWE PLEs moving to ESPN. I would say the biggest news story, as somebody who runs a website about wrestling and covers the news, I think it has to be Hulk Hogan passing away. I mean, he was the biggest star of the 80s and arguably the biggest mainstream wrestling star of all time. So him passing away was a massive event. The president of the United States publicly commented on Hulk Hogan and offered condolences. The governor of Florida. It was a huge deal. And a lot of people grew up on Hulk Hogan, and he definitely had his critics and people that didn't like him for good reasons, I think. But still, as far as a news story goes, I think it has to be the death of Hulk Hogan. Comeback of the year. We have AJ Lee, John Cena coming in for his last year. Ilya Dragunov coming back from that long injury and winning that U.S. title. Brock Lesnar coming back after being named in that Vince McMahon sex trafficking lawsuit. Kenny Omega coming back for diverticulitis. Definitely a big comeback. And this got quite a few nominations. Cope and Christian, the reuniting of Edge and Christian, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage in AEW. So that was an interesting one. You know what? John Cena's had a great year. Not taking anything away from him, but I say you got to go with AJ Lee. And my wife agrees. AJ Lee is her pick. Dave also picks AJ. And Retro Pixel Drew 64 picks AJ. I'm going with AJ. Being gone for 10 years and coming back, and some people thought she wasn't going to come back. When Punk returned and she didn't return immediately, some people were thinking, yeah, she's done. She's not coming back. But a lot of good comebacks this year. I mean, I think even Cope and Christian reuniting and having a little bit of a comeback, but I think there's still more to come with them. They haven't won the tag titles yet. All right, moving on to faction of the year. We have The Vision, Judgment Day, the Death Riders, the Don Callis family, the Hurt Syndicate, We Hurt People, and the Wyatt Six. Wyatt Six have kind of lost me for a bit. I'm not really feeling them. I mean, they're a cool entrance, but not much else. I've enjoyed the Hurt Syndicate. The only thing is they should be utilized more and they should be in the upper card. And I feel like they're not used enough. Even a good candidate for underutilized would be the Hurt Syndicate as a whole group. Don Callis family, I mean, half of the bad guys in AEW are in the group. Death Riders, no. Judgment Day, no. I'm going with The Vision. And as Blake Riley 5906 in the chat pointed out, The Vision is dominant. They're just going to get bigger without Rollins. I agree. You got Braun Breaker, the future, Bronson Reed, who's destroying people with the tsunami. And now you got Logan Paul in the group. Yeah, I'm going Vision, even without Seth Rollins. All right, next up we have the breakout star of the year. We have Javon Evans, Braun Breaker, who seems to be nominated every year, Stephanie Vaquer, Joe Hendry, and I really think Joe's best year might be ahead as far as breaking out. Harley Cameron, who's definitely had a breakout year in AEW, and Leon Slater made the list. Leon Slater from Impact Wrestling. It's Easy to say Braun Breaker because of his push, but I mean, he's been pretty consistently pushed. And I think 2024 was really his breakout year, although he didn't win the poll that year. I'm going to say Javon Evans. Javon Evans, you know what? Stephanie Vaquer also could be considered. I'm torn. I'm really torn between Javon and Stephanie. Stephanie coming right out of the gate, having a strong push. You know what? I'll say Stephanie, but Javon is definitely breaking out. And, he's still in NXT, so we got to see when he gets called up to the main roster. I'll say because she came to the main roster and won the women's title at a major event, I'll go with Stephanie Vaquer. All right, this one's really tough for me. I'm not even sure what would be my pick. So this is pay-per-view of the year. We got AEW Revolution, WrestleMania 41, which is the whole package, both nights. Double or Nothing, All in Texas, Evolution, and SummerSlam. This is a tough one, man. The first 2-night SummerSlam, so you got to consider that. Evolution was an excellent show. I'm not really sure what I'm going to go with here. I might pick SummerSlam because I think Cody Rhodes and John Cena had an excellent main event, and you had a lot of memorable moments on the SummerSlam cards. Definitely a few slow points, but CM Punk and the Seth Rollins cash in. Evolution's up there, and I have to say All in Texas. I mean, almost all of AEW's pay-per-views were top tier, so any one of them would be a serious contender. But All In, had the big feel-good moment with Adam Page beating Jon Moxley at the end, and that crazy tag match with the Young Bucks and Swerve and Ospreay. So it's a tough call for me. I think I would go with Evolution because I'm thinking of all these shows, what would I go back and watch again? Probably SummerSlam over everything else. WrestleMania had a lot of great moments, but yeah, the main event from night 2 hurt it a little bit, in my opinion. So it's a tough call because I think all 6 of these are pretty equally great. I'm seeing a lot of people picking Evolution, so we'll see what ends up winning the poll. Remember, all through December, these polls will be up on NoDQ.com, and you'll be able to vote. All right, match of the year, another interesting one, another one I'm torn about. So the 6 that got the most nominations, so keep that in mind. And, there's been so many great matches in 2025. I'm sure there'll be people out there that will say, well, where's this match? Where's that match? I'm going by the nominations. We got 2 WrestleMania 41 matches for what it's worth. We got the Triple Threat Night 1 main event. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, which was really good. Great match, actually. And then we got the other Triple Threat match, which was from night 2. Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley. That was a hell of a Triple Threat match, and maybe the best women's match in WWE history. I mean, it's right up there. So that might be my pick. I mean, even though it was at the beginning of the show, like that was still an all-time classic. Hangman Page versus Will Ospreay from AEW Double or Nothing. And also Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley from All In. Both of those matches were excellent. And AEW had so many great matches too, but only 6 can make the poll. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena at SummerSlam. And then John Cena versus AJ Styles from Crown Jewel. I'm going to go with my personal favorite. And as far as just pure enjoyment and something I would go back and watch again, this might surprise people, maybe not, but I'm going to go John Cena and AJ Styles from Crown Jewel. It was just so much fun. All the tributes they did in the match. There was never a dull moment in it, but I mean, all 6 of these matches were top tier. So, I mean, I could see any one of them winning the poll, but my own personal favorite, I think, was Cena and Styles. Just what was really a throwaway Cena match just was unbelievably awesome. So I'm going to go with that one. Announcer of the year. We got Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, Joe Tessitore, Corey Graves, Bryan Danielson, and Nigel McGuinness. And I agree with Retro Pixel that AJ and Cena was a reward for people that were watching wrestling for a long time. I agree. I mean, there were a lot of little Easter eggs and references. So announcer of the year, I'm not going with Tessitore. Definitely not. Probably not Nigel. Bryan Danielson's been doing pretty good, so he could be a contender here. But I think I got to go with the veteran Michael Cole at the end of the day. I think Cole doesn't get enough love. I'm going with Cole. All right, finisher of the year. So this is interesting because how do you judge this? Do you go by what wins matches? Do you go by what looks good? We got CM Punk's GTS. We got Sol Ruka's Soul Snatcher, which is a fan favorite. Buckshot Lariat from Hangman Page. Braun Breaker's Spear. The Tsunami. And Will Ospreay's Hidden Blade. Look, I think the one that looks the most devastating, it's either got to be Braun Breaker's Spear or the Tsunami. I think it's got to be one of those two. The Braun Breaker Spear, like, you don't want to get hit by that. The Hidden Blade is also a good one, although I feel like people kick out of it too much. I mean, you could really say that about a lot of these finishers. GTS isn't really what it was, but it's still, Punk's finisher. Soul Snatcher looks cool. I'm going to go Tsunami on this one. But Braun Breaker's Spear, I would say, is the best spear in wrestling right now. My pick, though, is the Tsunami. It's gotten Bronson Reed over. Like, he's over because of that move. And you can't really say that about the others. Maybe the Soul Snatcher, but the Tsunami is like a thing. Like, the fans want to see the Tsunami. It's a happening when it takes place. It's an event. All right, we got 3 categories left here. Remember, you can vote at NoDQ.com all through the month of December. So we got Tag Team of the Year. The Hardys making this list from TNA. FTR, Brodito, Fraxium, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and Judgment Day. I'm actually going to go AEW. I think one of the areas where AEW does better than WWE on a pretty consistent level is their tag division. I mean, that's been a strong point of AEW for years, since the beginning. I'm going to say Brodito. Like, they came out of nowhere, just thrown together, and they've had some of the best tag matches of the year. And, some would argue that they should have a matchup for match of the year, period. So I'm going to go with Brodito on this one and give one to AEW. And I might even pick FTR second for tag team of the year. Hardys, they're a sentimental favorite, but I think Brodito's been killing it in 2025. FTR, they're the whole package. They can wrestle and they can get the heel heat. They've had some big angles in 2025, like with Cope and Christian. So, I think Brodito or FTR are solid picks. Female Superstar of the Year, we got Io Sky, Stephanie Vaquer, Becky Lynch, Mercedes Moné, Toni Storm, Timeless Toni Storm, and Rhea Ripley. Tough one. Tough pick for me. Stephanie Vaquer, I did go with Breakout Star, so I'm not sure if I would pick her for Female Superstar, although, I mean, hard to argue that she's had a stellar 2025. Becky Lynch doing the heel turn, probably not Becky. You could argue Mercedes based off of her titles, the 15 belts or whatever she has. I feel like people aren't going to vote for her, though. Toni Storm kind of cooled off a little bit, I think, but still one of the biggest stars in AEW. Rhea Ripley, always getting the pop, but hasn't really been in the top spot as far as being the champion, but she's arguably the biggest female star in the company still. And Io Sky's been great. Some of the best matches of the year. You know what? I'm going to pick Io. Winning at WrestleMania and being part of Evolution and just being a consistent top babyface on WWE programming throughout the year. My pick's Io, and I might actually go Mercedes as second, but I don't think people are going to vote for Mercedes. People have this hate for her, but I think she's had a hell of a year. And finally, we have the male superstar of the year. We have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Dominic Mysterio, Jey Uso, and Jon Moxley. And to answer Charles from Facebook, why is Tiffany Stratton not on the poll? I picked the top 6 based off of the nomination. So it's the top 6 most nominated people that get on the poll, and Tiffany didn't make it. So make that of what you will. Male superstar, CM Punk, Rhodes, Cena, Dominic Mysterio, Jey Uso, and Jon Moxley. I would probably say John Cena. I say give it to John Cena. This was his year coming back for his final year, and it definitely had its ups and downs. But when I think of most memorable moments in the year, from John Cena coming up short at the Royal Rumble, turning heel at Elimination Chamber, 17 championship at WrestleMania. Then he had his match with Randy Orton in St. Louis, CM Punk, the match in Saudi Arabia, and then losing to Cody Rhodes. And then, as I mentioned, the match with AJ Styles, Logan Paul. I remember all the stuff with John Cena, whether it was good or bad. To me, this is John Cena's year, and he's retiring. He's going to be done. I picked John Cena for this one. But, Cody Rhodes could win it. CM Punk could win it. We'll see what happens. Shout out to Dave Scheffler, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Dave. Dave says Brodito is one of the pleasant surprises in AEW. Absolutely. The fact that, you got Brody King, who was with Aleister Black or Malachi Black, and then Bandito was doing his own thing, and they got together and turned out to be one of the best teams in AEW history. Yeah, it was definitely one of the highlights of AEW in 2025. I definitely agree with you on that one. There you have it. I've covered all the polls. I'm seeing people picking John Cena. I've seen a few Dominics. It's interesting that Dominic is up for contention this year for the male superstar, when I think his best years are still to come. But the fact that he's up there, that really tells you how far up the ladder he's climbed and how much fans have come to accept him as a top guy. Thank you all so much for checking out this live stream on NoDQ.com. Vote now over at NoDQ.com in the year-end awards throughout the month of December, and tell a friend. Spread the word, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you around.